Hello everyone, well it is time for my Smackdown review for the week. So that is the episode 15th of August 2025 that took place last night. Now it's kind of a shame that it happens on a Friday night because I have so much going on Saturdays usually. So I'm going to do this one a little bit differently to the way I did Monday Night Raw. I'm not going to be giving my opinions as I watch it. I have already seen the show, so I know what my thoughts are, and those are what I am going to share with you right now. So they were in Boston last night, and the show opened with Solo Sikoa and the rest of the MFT. So they made their daunting entrance down to the ring, probably quite a good way to start it, and he gave the whole "this is our brand" spiel, and anyone who tries to oppose us will end up like Sami Zayn did on Monday night, because we went to Raw and we showed what happens to anyone who dares try and cross us. So, he said if anybody wants to get stomped, then come out now and be stomped effectively. So who comes out? It's Sami Zayn, meaning this rivalry clearly isn't over. And we received more evidence of that when he came down to the ring and said, "I want to talk now. I still want to be world champion, but I've thought about other things that I haven't done at the moment, and I haven't won the United States Championship either. So I now have my eye on that." Solo says, "You're not even on Smackdown, so get out of here." And Sami Zayn says, "Actually, yes, I am." Which is interesting given we had that whole angle with Rollins a couple of months ago, where Rollins said, "You would do better going to SmackDown, we can make that happen." And Sami went, no, I'm not going to SmackDown. And a few months later, he is now on SmackDown. So, make of that what you will. Anyway, at this point, they decide to attack Sami Zayn because that's what they do. As I said, we get a lot of this 4-on-1 sort of thing. So Jimmy Uso comes out to help, but 4-on-2 is still difficult, so Jacob Fatu comes out to help as well. Nick Aldis comes out and says, "Ooh, this is great, let's have this as our main event tonight, 3-on-3. So that's going to be our main event. Now, I thought that was likely to be quite a decent match, and I will talk a little bit more about that later. Next, we have a backstage scene with Chelsea Green and the Secret Service. Now, I actually quite like this little group that they've got at the moment. Chelsea Green is doing very well at portraying this idiotic sort of character who is a bit on the spoiled side, and we've had the amusing moments like, "I'm in mourning, so I've lost my title," and her on the phone, "Nikki, you can't remove me from the tournament," sort of thing. So I believe there is space for a character like that at the moment, and it is amusing. She does end up a bit slapsticky on the end of some quite embarrassing moments, like she did on the episode last week, where she ended up with her face in a birthday cake. Now, that was funny, I'd say, because it's Chelsea Green. It's just the sort of thing that is likely to happen to her. So she says in this backstage interview, "We're going to get revenge on Alexa Bliss tonight because she is going to take on Piper Niven." Now, speaking of Alexa Bliss, let's just pause for a moment. I am a huge fan of Alexa Bliss. I find the segments she's involved with and the storylines at the moment among the most interesting, if not the most interesting. I love this whole angle that she's got going with Charlotte at the moment. But I feel the character that Alexa portrays, I'd like to believe that there's a lot of her own personality in that. I've never met her, so I don't know. I like the way that she comes down to the ring holding Lily and makes quite an effective entrance. It certainly grabs people's attention. And I like her whole persona backstage, the sarcastic kind, slightly tough, the one who likes to have fun. I like the whole too right, I'm a cheerleader kind of thing that she does. And I just feel that this personality she puts across is great fun and it makes really good entertainment. And she's also very good in the ring. So I am a big fan of Alexa Bliss, as I said. So was thrilled when her and Charlotte won the tag team titles. As I said, I like this whole we're not friends thing that's going on. At the time, I think it was Evolution, where Charlotte put her arm in her face and she barged through it and threw Lily into her face. It had me laughing quite a lot. So, yes, go Alexa, I say. So Alexa comes out to the ring, then Chelsea Green and the Secret Hervis do for the match. And we get another great moment. I like the sort of attitude Charlotte is starting to put together now. What happens is Lily is in the corner of the ring and Chelsea Green starts to make her way towards Lily like she's going to cause trouble. And Charlotte steps in and says, you are not going anywhere near her. Don't you dare try and touch her. That sort of thing. So that's another bit that had me laughing really and just added to the entertainment value of this particular story arc. Now, going into the match, I was quite impressed with Piper Niven. I don't feel I've seen an awful lot of her, but I think she put some quite good moves together and dominated portions of the match. I mean, we know what Alexa is capable of. So it was nice to see Piper Niven shine to an extent, and you had some things going on around the ring. So in the end, it was Alexa who managed to get the win, but the Secret Hervis were not too pleased with that, and there was a brawl between Chelsea Green, the Secret Hervis, and Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair. So it was Chelsea Green and the Secret Hervis who came out on top of that. Now, obviously, I'm not a fan of seeing Alexa get hurt because I've made my feelings around her quite clear, but I feel this is quite good for a potential storyline here. It does show some strength in Chelsea Green and the Secret Hervis, and it could mean that we're looking at our next potential challenges for the women's tag team titles coming up. So I'm very interested to see where this one goes. So we get our next backstage segment after this, and it's mainly between Tiffany Stratton and Jade Cargill. It is then interrupted by Nia Jax. Now, I quite enjoyed this segment. I enjoy moments that involve Tiffany Stratton anyway. I think she's good in the ring and she's very good at the promos and whatnot as well. I feel she tends to dominate the scenes with her attitude quite a lot, and it makes a good entertainment. Now, Cargill, I'm nowhere near as much of a fan of. I feel that Tiffy was much better than her in the ring last time I saw them wrestle against each other. And the character that she seems to be trying to portray at the moment seems a bit Nia Jax-like. She seems to be trying to come across as kind of cool and quiet and tough, sort of, yeah, I'm gonna dominate in the ring and I know that I'm gonna beat you. But I just don't think she's as good at it. And as I said, I don't think she's as good in the ring at the moment. Now, again, I'm not going to criticise because she is far more capable than anything that I would manage. But I don't believe she's up to the standard that the other two are at the moment. But I do feel she was better in this segment, because when Nia Jax interrupted and they were effectively arguing over who gets the next title shot, I thought she was more amusing. She had more of a place in that with some of the facial expressions. But I believe Tiffy was the star again of that particular scene. I like the way she ended it by going, if I have to prove it to you before I prove it to you, then so be it. So what's going to happen with Tiffy and the championship? I will save that discussion for later because we are going to see more of her. Next up, we have the Miz and Carmelo Hayes versus Phyrexian. Now, this was my favourite match of the night. I believe it was very fast-paced from the beginning, and there was some really good in-ring work from everyone involved. Miz is obviously very experienced, but I feel we saw a lot of good stuff from Carmelo Hayes. Now, Fraxium have been impressing for a little while. I've had a few discussions around them, and they do a lot of good in-ring work, and I'm not convinced I've seen them lose a tag team match before. So that was a little bit surprising, but it was amusing the way they did things with Miz's whole "I'm trying to big up Carmelo Hayes, but in reality I'm going to finish things off and make out I was doing it for his benefit." And I don't know if Carmelo is going to snap at some point. We do hear a bit from him later, but it is quite funny in the meantime, and I don't know whether they're going to try and push this towards a tag team title match. But as I said, good work in the ring from all of them, really enjoyable match, and I'm interested to see what happens with both of these teams. So I promised you we would talk about the WWE Women's Championship more, and now is the time to do so. So we get another backstage segment with Tiffy, as mentioned before, and she is stopped by Kiana James saying, "I want to take you on as a client." Tiffy basically says no, and Kiana James warns her, saying, "If you're not with us, you're against us, and Julia is coming for your championship, potentially." Tiffy doesn't seem too fussed about the whole thing, and then Michin comes in and says to Kiana James, "I want Julia next," meaning she probably wants a title shot of some sort. So I'm at a bit of a loss as to where that particular element is going to go, whether Julia might be coming for the championship or whether Michin will get an opportunity. I'm not entirely sure. They're planting a lot of seeds at the moment. So looking at it in a bit more detail with Jade Cargill and Nia Jax, I can see those two continuing to be involved, even though Tiffy has beaten both in the past couple of months. But they're obviously not going away, I don't think. So who knows who's going to be next? I'm sure we will find out in the coming weeks. So all to play for, I think, as far as that championship goes. And I'm sure Tiffy will put up a big fight, whoever she does end up facing next. Next up, it's Drew McIntyre coming in to cut a promo. Now, this was marketed as he's going to come down and he's going to explain why he attacked Cody Rhodes last week. Now, I feel this was pretty predictable. I mean, it was very likely to be because of the championship. And that is what he ended up saying. He comes down and says, "I attacked Cody Rhodes, this is how I did it. Actually, it wasn't me who attacked Cody Rhodes. I just ended up claymoring him through the table." He goes on for a little while, but he makes his intentions known that he does want the championship. He feels he should have had it a lot more than he has, and for a lot longer than he has, and he is coming for it. So the question is, will he? McIntyre is another of my favourites. I have followed him for quite a while. He's been around for a time now. It's possible that it's because he is a fellow Brit, but I think that's a very small portion of it. He's got a great character, he's great in the ring, and a lot of people do appreciate him. And it's been disappointing this year that he seems to have lost on a lot of the big occasions, which is one of the reasons why I was pleased that he did get the win at WrestleMania and the win at SummerSlam in the tag team match. So I'm hoping there is a lot more to come from Drew. I would love it if he's going to be the next challenger for the title, but we will see. He certainly made his intentions known, and he might have to go through some others in order to get there. More backstage next, and it is the Street Profits having an interview. Now, they have recently lost the tag titles just over a month ago, and they still seem to be interested in it. Now, this is when the MFT come in and say, "Why are you still chasing them? There's no point in you chasing them, and we're going to have a problem if you keep chasing them." and they don't seem too bothered by that. But I think the interesting part of this segment is Solo saying that they want to claim that particular gold as the MFT. I don't really see the Street Profits getting it back into much contention soon, or at least winning it back, as there are a lot of teams around. But it will be interesting to see if the MFT do get involved in the tag team title picture, because that is a very good division at the moment. The TLC match at SummerSlam proved that. So whoever ends up chasing next, it's going to be very interesting. The next match, and it's another tag team match, it's DIY versus the Street Profits. Now this match started a little bit slowly. I think I'd say one of the more memorable parts of it was DIY mimicking the Street Profits. So not a huge amount to say about the beginning of it. I'd say it got most interesting actually when the women got involved and they started attacking each other outside the ring. But I thought the ending to the match was quite good. There were a lot of good moves from both sides around that time, though there was the odd oversell, I would say, where it looked a little bit dodgy, but enjoyable enough in the end, the match. And it was the Street Profits who were able to win it. What this is going to lead to, I'm not entirely sure. These have been feuding for quite a while. But I do agree with Wade Barrett, I think it was, who said every time you see Candice LeRae now you're going to think about what happened at SummerSlam. I definitely agree with that, because that was quite a remarkable moment. I remember being quite gobsmacked while seeing it. So I'm up for seeing more of these teams, but as I said, I don't know what direction they're going to head in, given it looks like they're creating ideas for other teams to be involved in the tag team title picture. Speaking of the tag team title picture, we had another backstage segment next, where the Motor City Machine Guns were talking with the general manager. That's where Carmelo Hayes and Miz come in, and Hayes says, "I want a US title opportunity." Miz, being Miz, comes in and is very amusing. He says, "We want a tag team title match, hopefully that's what you're going to give us." And Aldis says, "No, you're wrestling the Motor City Machine Guns next week." But I believe the banter, the quarrelling between the two teams here was quite good. And this whole Miz being oblivious to what Carmelo wants thing is amusing. So again, we've now got Carmelo Hayes and the Miz potentially looking at a tag team title shot, and we've got the MFT as well. So all sorts could happen with this. As I said, it's quite hard to predict, I'd say. For me at least, you guys might have other ideas, but I am excited to see what happens. So before I move on, we'll talk one more time about the tag team title picture, because it was interesting what we had with the Wyatt Six last night. They kept showing up, sort of lurking in the shadows, so it created quite an eerie atmosphere, and I think it worked very well, and I don't think I'm the only one who thinks that. So a lot to say about the tag team title picture, and we will see where it goes. Two more backstage segments before we get our final match of the evening. First up, it's R-Truth, or Ron Killings, whatever he's going by at the moment, and he is confronted by Aleister Black, and he says, "You should be thinking about your friend Damian Priest." Quite what this is about, I don't really know, and I don't know if it's going to go anywhere, so I'm a little lost on that one. Obviously, Black doesn't appear to be finished with Damian Priest, but bringing R-Truth into it, not entirely sure. It could just mean they have a match at some point. It could mean it becomes quite a big rivalry with him involved as well. So another one where we just have to see where it goes. The next backstage segment, before they go out for their 3-on-3 match, we have Sami Zayn, Jimmy Uso and Jacob Fatu all in the locker room. Sami expresses his gratitude to Jacob Fatu for coming out and helping. Jacob, with the angry attitude he often brings, says, "I didn't do it for you, I did it for my bro here." And Sami said, "Well, he's my bro too." So they don't seem to be on the same page at that particular point, and Jimmy has to try and calm things down a little bit. So then they head out for the match against 3 members of the MFT. And again, I think the match got off to a relatively slow start. It was just beating up Zayn for quite a lot of it. From what I saw, at least. Again, with what Netflix potentially cuts, I'm not entirely sure how much I really miss. But from what I saw, there was quite a lot of beating up Zayn. But we do get matches like that, and you know they'll end up tagging someone in. Which he ends up doing. He ends up tagging in Jacob Fatu, who goes to town on the MFT, producing a lot of good moves, including the Samoan drop. Then eventually it's Zayn who comes in and finishes it by pinning Solo Sikoa. So that's the second time Solo Sikoa has been pinned lately. He's not going to be very happy about that. But it's what follows it which I think was potentially supposed to grab the audience's attention a little bit more, when you have Jacob Fatu hugging Jimmy Uso, and Uso and Zayn are thrilled, and then you have Sami Zayn and Jacob Fatu staring at each other, but in the end they decide to shake hands, hug and celebrate. So that probably hints that these 3 are going to be involved together a lot more going forward. So what I'm intrigued to know now is what they plan on doing with the US title. Zayn has made it clear he's interested in it. I see that Jacob Fatu is still having a lot to do with Solo Sikoa, so he's probably still interested in it as well. So where's it going to go? Are they both going to be involved, or is Jacob going to move on to something else? I'm not entirely sure, but we will find out in due course, and I will look forward to that. So that is everything for my review of Smackdown this week. A relatively decent episode, I thought, with a few interesting moments. We were missing a few names this week. There was no John Cena, no Cody Rhodes, no Logan Paul. So when we see them again, I'll talk a little bit more about how I feel about what's going on there. But in the meantime, thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you all on the next video.